a string, I'm sitting on a rainbow, got that string around my finger. What a life, what a world, I'm in love.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Appreciating Veterans, especially on Sunday. Today we have a very, very exciting show for you. I have with me today Mr. Rick Penn and also Ms. Dolores McGee. She's going to tell you some very important things, our female veterans. She's going to tell you some very important things about breast cancer, about the, how can one say, Ms. Dolores? We can say the symptoms or signs that you should look for. Rick is going to sing. I hear he's got a beautiful voice, but you know, hey, I don't know. I have to wait and see. But anyway, first, Rick, let's talk to you. What's happening?
Hi, nice to be here. You know, I used to come here some years ago when there was some veterans for Peace, Vietnam Veterans Organization, and Iraqi veterans met here. And there used to be an old man here named Ulysses Moore, who was a former Buffalo soldier. Yeah, but it's been a long time since I've been back here, and it's nice to know that the veterans can actually have a place they can go to.
Well, thank you. We thank you very much for being here. Thank you. And Ms. Dolores, nice for you to be here too also. Thank you. Welcome. Could you tell the lady, could you tell our audience, excuse me, something about what you do?
What I do is I work for Community Living Campaign. I am a community connector for the Ocean View, Merced Heights, and Ingleside community. And what we do is provide services and resources so that seniors can remain in their homes instead of going to nursing homes.
Outstanding, outstanding. And Rick, how long have you been singing?
Oh, probably ever since grade school. I'm the oldest of 9 kids, and we always used to sing for our mother. Oh. You know, like something to entertain mom after work, and we would listen to the Jackson 5 and the Beatles and make up our own versions of those songs and sing them to her. So I guess pretty much since I was a kid.
So we're looking forward to that. We're going to hear Rick in a little while. But first, we're going to have Ms. McGee tell us some of the things that she would like the female veterans to know, some of the things that that can be warning signs for females as far as breast cancer is concerned, and just things in general that you want the female veterans to know.
Well, first, I think for breast cancer, the women should make sure they do their testing every month, and they should always make sure they take their mammograms and keep their weight in check so that if you do discover that you have breast cancer, you will not be fighting 2 things at one time. You will not be fighting obesity and breast cancer at the same time.
Oh, outstanding. So, with that in mind, we'll be right back.
Summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song, then we strode that golden sand. 2 sweethearts and the summer wind, like painted kites, those days and nights they went flying by. The world was new beneath that blue umbrella sky. Then softer than a piper man, one day it called to you, and I lost you to the summer wind. For the autumn wind and the winter wind, they had gone. Still those days, those lonely days, they go on and on. And guess who sighs his lullaby through the nights that never end? My old fickle friend, the summer wind, the summer wind, warm summer wind, goodbye.
Very, very good. I really enjoyed that, Rick. I really enjoyed that. Not only can he sing, I think he danced too. Do you dance then?
I used to be able to, but before when I was 9 kids, you know, you had to entertain yourself somehow, and so we sang, you know, turn on the radio, we danced in the kitchen. Sometimes mother would say, "You're making too much noise, get out of the house," you know, with 9 kids. But I think it was something that we all enjoyed, and the fact that our mother enjoyed hearing us sing, that it made her smile. We would do it more often.
Very good. Well, we're going to hear more. We're going to hear more from Rick in a little while. But first, Rick, let me ask you a few questions, okay? I understand you was in the military also.
Yes, I was in the 101st Airborne in 1967, 68, 69, and 70. I think joined the Army like a lot of kids do to get away from home, to get out of that small town existence out in Virginia, and it was sort of like my ticket out. I mean, being the oldest of 9 kids in a family that didn't make a whole lot of money, there wasn't going to be a whole lot of college funds sitting around just waiting for us to go to college. And sometimes, you know, people will take jobs and then they'll think they'll go on to college, but lots of times after they get that job, suddenly the thought of education falls to the wayside. And I think for a lot of people, especially men and women now, when they join the military, sometimes if they feel like they don't have much of a choice, there aren't many options, and that situation has existed since for the last 200 years, that working class families don't always have the options that other people have.
That's very true. That's very true. And also we find that a lot of the veterans, when they come back home after they've served, we've heard a lot of stories about things that they had to go through, or benefits that they did receive, or some that they didn't receive. How were things when you came back from the service?
When I came back, luckily I think Swords to Plowshare was just getting started, and a whole lot of veterans were just suspicious of the VA hospitals, suspicious of of government people in general, and not trusting that you're going to get a fair deal. So a lot of people wouldn't go to the VA hospital. You know, they're not going to understand me. They're not going to understand my problems. And so other veterans began to open up other, the VA tried something different in getting more veterans to actually interface with Vietnam veterans. And like brother to brother. And then you could trust that, yeah, maybe I'll fill out the application, I'll come in, I'll get treated for PST or something. But yeah, that took a lot of years, and it still seems like it's still going on.
Can you tell the veterans, some of the veterans that's out here listening, can you tell them some of the agencies or some of the programs that you got involved with when you first came back from the service?
When I first came back from the service, I think like a lot of people, if you've had any kind of traumatic situation you've been in, it's sometimes hard to talk about it because you don't think people will understand you, and so you bottle it up and you keep it to yourself. I got into a program through Swords to Plowshares, where there was groups of people sitting around and talking with each other about their own experience. And that was reassuring, and no one felt any shame, and they understood that they had gone through these traumatic situations and they were lucky to be alive. And just by talking, it brought stuff out. When people don't talk about it and they bottle it up, that's when people explode and they hurt people that they love. I started that, and I went back to school. Also, I didn't stand still. I had to do something because I felt lucky to be alive, and that I'm not going to waste my time, by just fooling around. I wanted to go.